Gamers, what's up? It's your boy KC. It's been about a good month. This video is gonna be about video game based movies and why they suck. You know, I don't know if Hollywood is just trying to piss off the video game fans and movie fans too, but it seems like they're doing a really good job when it comes to that. And they can't seem to get any of these movies right. Either they mess up the plot or they put characters that nobody even knows or gives a shit about in these movies and think that the fans just, oh wow, that's great. And I'm gonna name a few just for examples. BloodRayne. It's a story about this girl named Rain trying to get revenge on her father for killing her mother and biting her when she was a child, turning her into a Dhampir, which is half human, half vampire. How simple is that? But what they did, what Hollywood did, was take a horrible actress to play as Rain. They put cheesy dialogue in it. The fighting scenes were not even realistic. I mean, you can tell that they were choreographed. I mean, they just really it's not the worst video game based movie I've seen, but it's definitely in the top 5. Because they could have did a hell of a lot better than they did. Look at Blade. Blade, I consider the counterpart of Rain because it's pretty much the same thing. They got a lot of things in common. Blade is a Dhampir who's getting revenge on Deacon Frost for killing his mother and making him into a vampire too, a daywalker. Now look at Blade is one of my favorite movies. That movie was great. The fighting scenes were awesome. The plot was great. You mean to tell me that they couldn't have did the same thing with BloodRayne? It looked like their budget was like $5 when they did that movie. Okay, we're just gonna put a couple of artifacts in here and all that. What the hell, man? They didn't even have no superstar power in that movie. It could have been way better than what it was. And the fans hated it. We hated it. I can't stand that movie. Moving on. Double Dragon. Definitely number 3 on the list. Double Dragon's about these two Chinese-American twin brothers, Billy and Jimmy Lee. One is born on the side of good, one is born on the side of evil. Billy's on the side of good, Jimmy's on the side of evil. It's a story about Billy's girlfriend being kidnapped, or in Double Dragon 2, being killed. Billy's trying to get revenge, by defeating the shadow bosses and the shadow law, or whatever the heck they call these guys. Simple. Along the way, his brother Jimmy becomes good. They become the Double Dragons, and they fight on the side of good. That's what I remember playing as a kid. Now, out of the gate already, they screwed up. I said Chinese-American twin brothers. And I'm not racist or nothing, but I'm just saying, they picked a Caucasian guy and a Hispanic dude to play twin brothers. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. The plot of the movie had nothing to do with anything that goes on in the world of Double Dragon. In fact, Marion wasn't even kidnapped. She's in some kind of crappy gang that fights in the city and stuff. Robert Patrick, the guy that plays the Liquid Terminator in Terminator 2. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what they was thinking. It's about this stupid medallion that gives the Double Dragons this powers and stuff like that. That's not what happened in Double Dragon. Double Dragon is about these two guys that beat the crap out of this whole gang of guys that kidnapped their friend, Billy's girlfriend. Damn. If they should have stuck by the script, because they would have applied to the nostalgic side of the fans, because that's what we remember when we hear the name Double Dragon. And they screwed it up. Street Fighter. Now, how could you mess that up? All the anime movies worked, but the real movie didn't. They had barely any superstar power in there. They had Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know, big deal. You know, he was cool back in the day, but and it could have worked. But the thing that really got me, the reason why this movie sucks to me, is because they screwed up the plot. How are you going to take the main protagonist, the guy who has been the good guy through every Street Fighter, the main character, Ryu, and you're going to make him a bad guy at the beginning of the movie? Did you hear what I said? They made him a bad guy. They made him work for Bison and Sagat. What? They got Ken too. Working for what? When I saw that, I can't even begin. My mind I can't wrap my mind around that process, because Ryu has always been on the side of good. He hates M. Bison, man. He hates Sagat too. What the heck were they thinking? They made my girl Chun-Li, they made her into a damn news reporter. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a cop in the world of Street Fighter. In the video gaming, she's a cop. She can't stand Bison. Balrog is a bad guy. They pay him to beat up people. You know what I'm saying? Zangief is a bad guy. Blanca. They screwed up the backstory with him. Blanca, yeah, his name is Charlie, but he's not Guile's friend Charlie. They just threw that in there because they had no damn idea what they was doing, and the fans hated it. Again, all they had to do was follow the simple plot. Street Fighter's about this guy named Ryu who has a best friend named Ken Masters. Yo, they fight M. Bison, they fight Sagat, they fight bad guys. Yo, Colonel William Guile, who fights bad guys. I mean, it's not that hard of a plot that they couldn't follow, but they couldn't get that right. Resident Evil. Now, some people may get mad at me for this, and I don't care, because I'll say what I want. I don't like any of the Resident Evil movies. I don't like any of them for so many reasons. Because if you're going to make a Resident Evil movie, why don't you make them based off all the games and what the games are about? Resident Evil 1, Jill, Chris, Barry, Wesker. Resident Evil 2, Leon, Claire, Sherry, and Ada. Resident Evil 3, Jill and Carlos. Resident Evil 4, Leon and Ashley. Resident Evil 5, Sheva and Chris. Resident Evil 0, what's the name? Rebecca and Billy. If you're gonna make Resident Evil movies, why don't you put the characters that everybody knows, the characters that made Resident Evil great, in those movies? They took Jill and they made her a secondary character. Are you serious? They took Jill Valentine and they threw in some female, some character that nobody even knows. I don't know. I've beaten so many Resident Evil games and I have never seen any main female named Alice in any of them. And I'm telling you the truth. Why? Why would you do something like that? You're gonna make Chris, the guy that was in the very first Resident Evil,